For the next part, I'm going to add some blue, and I think I'm going to do the beads in blue, and I think I am going to do the letters in blue. I've got some cobalt blue and some gray. So I'm going to use the gray to tone down this cobalt blue. It's a really nice blue. So I was going to do that on the beads. Now, if you haven't watched my bead painting trick, check out my YouTube page. I have a quick, easy way to paint beads. For today, though, I'm just going to paint them individually, and for your sake, I'm going to fast forward that part so you don't have to sit and watch me paint every bead. But make sure you watch the bead painting trick. I decided to add this little white stitching pattern around the edge of this. I just think it would look really cute. That looks super cute. And then I'm going to do the same with the pumpkin. Let's make some room here. Let's just take a peek and see how this looks on here. I think that looks pretty good. I was afraid with the blue it wouldn't pop, but with that little bit of white, I think it really adds to it. So I think that could definitely work out. Whoops, got a little bead stuck on there. All right, one final thing I was thinking of doing is adding a little white line around each of these beads. I just think it would be the perfect finishing touch. This is just an extra detail. You don't have the patience for this. You don't have to do it. But I love extra details like this because it makes the piece. In keeping with the stitching pattern, I'm going to do some little stitches around each of these leaves. Originally, I painted a stitching pattern on the words, but I noticed that this was really busy and it was hard to read the words. So I am using some buttermilk colored paint, and then I am
filling
just
it all in.
outlining and
Use a
connecting
brighter
these
green or a
lines
darker green,
so
whatever shade
that
of green
the words are going to
is
show up a
fine.
lot better.
I think at one point somebody wanted to do Snoopy and we've not done them yet.
Really stand out
Christmas
a lot better.
tree.
Now it's time to put this all together. Originally, I was going to string the beads onto jute string, but it was a little bit too thick, so I'm going to use this thin orange ribbon instead. I have an embroidery needle here, which has a wider hole in the end, and the ribbon fits there perfectly. And then we're going to string it right on, and that is so much easier. So I am going to cut some ribbons to length and string these beads on. Now that I have the beads strung, the next thing is to put everything together. Now that I have all my pieces, I'm going to start putting this together. And first things first, I'm going to line up all of my beads and get them where I want them. This looks pretty good. And now we're going to attach using some glue. I'm going to use some E6000. And then you might also want to use a little bit of hot glue to hold these in place until the permanent glue sets. Now I'm just adding some of the E6000 glue to the back of the Give Thanks words. And I'm going to be placing this on the big pumpkin. I love how this blue pops against the orange. Blue and orange complementary colors, so they always look good next to each other. Now I'm going to use a little bit of glue. I'm trying some super glue here to glue the back of these, but I would actually use the E6000 or maybe some hot glue again. I was just impatient for this to dry, so that's why I'm using the super glue. Go ahead and trim off the excess because we don't need all those extra lengths of ribbon. So I'm going to use this wider ribbon here, and I'm going to do the simple bow. I think I'm going to do more of a looped bow for this one. So let me just get a nice bit of ribbon here. Oh, about a little bit over a foot long. And then I'm going to have that like that. And then let's get our next color. I usually do the second color a little bit shorter because we want both to show up. So see how nicely that coordinates? Let me see here. I think if I do about this long. Oop, there goes one of my little beads. I have this and this. And then I also have, I've got this really pretty orange. I have some brown. And it's got brown with gold. And I also have this, which I'm kind of liking this. I think this stripe would look pretty. I used some of these for my September fall decorations. So I think this would actually look pretty cool. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do something a little bit different with this one. So here's an interesting way to tie a bow. So I'm going to hold this here with the 3 fingers. I'm going to wrap this around my thumb, around my finger. I'm going to come down here I am going to pull it around here. And then I am going to loop it under there and pull tight. Now, this will be a little twisted at first, so you just need to take and flip this part of the ribbon because this is the way the ribbon is. I'll just flip that around real quick. And then once you have it flipped, give it a nice taut pull here. And you get a great looking ribbon there with the tie. It does work a little bit better when you have a ribbon. Like this one has two sides, so it's a little tricky with this one, but if your ribbon is the same on both sides, it's a pretty awesome trick for getting a good ribbon here. So I'll trim this up in a little bit, but let's finish with our bow here. So we're going to take this part and this part and loop it just like so. Then I'm going to take this other one here, I'm going to put it right there, loop it under, just like this. Then we need a little bit of twine. I'm just using jute string here. We're going to secure this. This works best with the wired ribbon because after, see how that's getting a little mushed there? After this is done, we can fluff it real nice so that it kind of holds its shape a little bit better. So I'm just going to tie a knot in the back of this. Just give it a real tight. So that's kind of flattened out, but let's trim off the back here. And then you can just go ahead and fluff these to make a nice poofy bow. It's more of a decorative, fancy bow. Almost looks like a hair bow. And then I'm going to take my other little bow, and you can attach this in a couple ways. You could take a little yarn and get it on there. You could also just take a little bit of glue to attach it, which is probably what I'm going to do. I'm just going to glue that together when I glue it all together. But it gives you just a real pretty bow. And then this is going to go on the pumpkin up here. And what I will trim those these strings here so that it doesn't cover up my give thanks. We have the final product with everything glued and attached together. And this is a perfect piece for hanging on the wall. You could even use this as a door hanger. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and remember to be creative, be artistic, and get connected at the Painted Toad. Thanks for watching.